Hello everyone! Today we are getting into a new lesson called Completing the Square. And so all unit we've been learning different methods to solve these quadratic equations, and this is going to be the last method that we'll learn about. And so if you recall, we did learn about finding square roots, and we know that we can find square roots when we don't have that x term like we have here. So to solve this one, I would first subtract 15 from both sides. And when I subtract 15, I get 5x squared is equal to 20. I'll divide both sides by 5 to get x squared is equal to 4. And then I would take the square root on both sides. And something that we learned is that when we take the square root, our answer is going to be both the positive and negative of that number. So I would get plus or minus 2. Another way you can think of that is that x is equal to negative 2 and positive 2. So completing the square is going to be similar to this, but we're going to be looking at perfect square trinomials. So first, let's go through just solving a perfect square trinomial. So our first step when we are solving a perfect square trinomial is we are going to factor the perfect square trinomial, find the square roots, rewrite as two equations, and then solve for x. And remember, perfect square trinomials, those are ones that look like this. I have x plus a squared, or it might be x minus a. So let's look at some examples. So I want to solve the equation by factoring the left-hand side. So I want to first factor this left-hand side. And so my first step is I see that a here is equal to 1. So I'm just looking for two numbers that multiply to c and add to b. So two numbers that multiply to 4 and then add to equal 4. Well, 1 plus 4 does not, but I see 2 and 2. And so when I factor this left-hand side, I get x plus 2 times x plus 2 is equal to 25. But since I am multiplying the same thing by itself, x plus 2 times x plus 2, this is really just going to be x plus 2 squared. And now this looks like one of our square root problems that we did before. So to solve this, to get rid of this square, I just need to take the square root on both sides. And so I get x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus 5. And then I'll subtract 2 from both sides. And so I get that x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus 5. And then if you recall from here, I'm just going to go ahead and separate this into two different equations. And so I'll have negative 2 plus 5 and negative 2 minus 5. Well, negative 2 plus 5, I get 3. And then negative 2 minus 5, I get negative 7. So that means my answers for this are going to be x equals negative 7 and 3. Okay, let's look at another one. So problem 2, I have x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 44. Here my a is equal to 1, so I could do my shortcut. So I'm just looking for two numbers that multiply to 9 and add to equal to negative 6. So since they're multiplying to a positive number but adding to equal to a negative, that means that both of my factors need to be negative. So I can have negative 1, negative 9, negative 3, negative 3. And I see that negative 3, negative 3 are the winners. So I'm going to have x minus 3 times x minus 3 is equal to 144. And now again, since I have the same thing twice, they're both x minus 3 times x minus 3, I can rewrite that as x minus 3 squared. And now we can treat this like the square root problem. So I'm going to take the square root on both sides. And so I get that x minus 3 is equal to, the square root of 144 is 12. So I'm going to have plus or minus 12. Add 3. And so I get that x is equal to 3 plus or minus 12. And now from here, I can go ahead and separate this into two different equations. So that's really going to be 3 plus 12 and 3 minus 12. Well, 3 plus 12, I get 15. And then 3 minus 12, I get negative 9. So that means that my two answers are going to be x equals negative 9 and 15. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. I want you to try and do number 3 on your own. When you think you have it, go ahead and press play. Two answers that you should have gotten were x equals negative 12 and 2.